Welcome back to TarHeelIllustrated.com. In today's podcast, we're going to hit on North Carolina's now completed basketball recruiting class of 2020. Joining me, as he almost always does, our director of basketball recruiting, Clint Jackson. And Kerwin Walton made it official earlier in the week, so now we're going to put a bow on this class. We've talked a lot about the class for really almost 3 years back when we first started hitting up Sharpe, talking about him and his game as he was getting close to committing to Carolina and then eventually committing to UNC, which was 22 months ago when he committed to the Tar Heels. So it took 22 months for Roy Williams to put a bow on the class himself, and he now has with Kerwin Walton. What we're going to do in this podcast is we're going to kind of take a little bit of a different approach. I'm going to ask you about each of the 6 kids, and you're going to tell everybody what you think is one thing about their games that will surprise people in a positive way, and then maybe one part of their game that's going to take a little bit of time. So before we do that, just your thoughts now. 6 guys in the class. It's number 3 in the country, kind of, pushing that, and it's trying to push its way into that number 2 spot for the class of 2020.
It seemed like it took a long time for Kerwin Walton to commit because we rode that pulse for about 2 days, but in the end, it looked good for Carolina. I had some behind-the-scenes intel that they were doing well, even though he was taking a couple of days. And finally, when he popped, they put a bow on that class and got a great 6th member of that class, another guy who can stretch the floor and open up the defense. So you got to keep them honest. And I think Roy Williams definitely wanted some shooters in this class. So now he's got Puff Johnson, he's got RJ Davis, who can fill it up. He's got Caleb Love, and he's got Kerwin Walton. And Walker Kessler can pop out and hit jump shots as well, so watch out for him. So
if the Tar Heels show up to a game sometime in November and the only 6 guys that can play that night are the 6 members of this class, how complete a unit can Roy put on the floor?
I'm sorry, I lost your volume a little bit there. I didn't hear your end of your question.
If Carolina has a game, let's say in November, and the only 6 guys available are these 6 guys, the freshman class, let's say Roy's got that 6 to roll with that night, that's it. How complete a team can he put on the floor?
He's got players at every position. He's got guys who can play point guard, combo, 2, 3, 4, and 5, stretch 4. Walker Kessler can be a 5 in a small lineup where you want to spread the floor. He's got pretty much every position filled. And a 6th man. So very complete, comprehensive team there. And even if they don't have their veterans like Brooks, Bacot, and Leaky Black, Playtech, guys like that, they still got a pretty complete team. This is a very thorough, comprehensive class. And, I think Carolina fans should be very excited. It's one of the best recruiting classes that I've covered. And I've been doing this for almost 25 years now.
Well, this part coming up, we haven't rehearsed this at all. So I'm looking forward to what you're going to say here. We're going to go over each one of these 6 kids in order, and I'm going to say whatever kid I want you to talk about. And the first thing you're going to address is maybe something that will take time in their game when they get to Carolina. Let's start with Caleb Love.
I think with Caleb Love, one of the things that jumps out to me is he's such a good playmaker. Is getting that running the team down. With Roy Williams' system, sometimes it takes point guards a little while to get used to running the team the way that he wants the team run. I think there's a chance that could take a little bit of time. And I think one of the things that will jump out that people don't talk about Caleb Love enough is he's a better rebounder than most give him credit for. A 6'3" guy with really long arms who's not afraid to go in there and bang bodies because he's strong and well built. I think he'll grab more rebounds than most people expect.
Sharpe, start with what will take time, and then what's one thing that jumps out that will surprise people?
I think with any big nowadays who's got dreams of going to the NBA, I think you have to be more than one-dimensional. And I think Sharpe has made several large improvements under Kevin Boyle down in Florida. One of the ones he's made is I think he's starting to shoot the ball facing up a little better. I think that's still going to take some time. That's not his strong point. So that's probably the thing that I would say could take a little while. And I would say the thing that he's better at doing that's sort of a shock is how well he passes the ball in the half-court setting. He just has a really good innate feel. He knows where people are. He doesn't hesitate. He's got those good soft hands, and he gets that pass out of his hand pretty quick. and pretty decisive. So he's a better passer than most people realize.
The conversations he and Sean May will have about that will be interesting because Sean's one of the better passing big men that Roy has coached at Carolina. How about Walker Kessler, starting with the what may take some time, and then, of course, what might surprise people?
I think with Walker Kessler, he moves pretty well. I think he's going to need to make some improvements there. So I think getting in Carolina shape, and he's not out of shape, but I think getting in the way that Roy Williams wants to run the floor for that secondary break, and guys like Tyler Zeller were standouts in that area. I think that could take a little while. I think one of the things he's probably better at than most people realize is putting the ball on the floor. People talk about how well he shoots the ball and how fundamentally sound he is. He can actually put the ball on the floor and go by people decently as well.
R.J. Davis.
That's probably the guy I've seen the least of out of all six of these guys. R.J. Davis he plays, I'd say the thing he would have to work on is his point guard skills. He's being brought in to play combos, so that means he's going to play both on and off the ball. So I'd say his natural point guard skills would probably be the thing that could take a little while. And I think the thing that he's a little better that most people don't realize is he's not a very big guy. Some people list him at 5'11", some people list him at 5'10", some people I've seen him list at 6'1". I think he is a generous 6 foot. I'll be curious to see what you think when you stand next to him at post-game interviews. But I think one of the things that he's better at than most people realize is he's actually a lot tougher, and he'll get his nose in on those rebounds as a 6 foot guard and grab some of them.
Puff Johnson.
Puff Johnson, I'd say the thing that could take a little while is his body. He's rather slender. He's rather gangly. He's got long arms. He's built like his brother, but his brother was stronger. I think, getting his body ready for the rigors of the ACC could be the thing that I could see taking some time. And I would say maybe the way that he is better than his reputation, moving without the ball. Not a lot of people talk about that, but he is always in the right spot on the floor. And sometimes even when he's not doing V-cuts or running through the lane and looking for screens, he just has a magic way of finding the right spot. And when things break down, they're like, oh, there's Puff. They throw it to him. He shoots a three, hits it, and they score.
Cameron is a very cerebral player, and Cameron was excellent at finding those spots too. And I know that the way their dad has raised them in the game, it's not a surprise. So it wouldn't surprise me. It's not a surprise at all to learn that that's one of Puff's strengths. Kerwin Walton. We're talking about Kerwin Walton again. Imagine that.
Kerwin Walton, I would say the thing that could take a while is defensive footwork. Even though he's a pretty good defender, he's a known shooter. I think defensive footwork, guarding some of these elite ACC wings. And again, that's not to say he's a bad defender, but that's one of the tougher positions to guard in the ACC, is, in my opinion. So defensive footwork. And I'd say the thing he's probably a little bit better than most people is he's a little bit tougher than most people realize. I don't think enough people talk about that. He's physically well built. He'll get in the lane. I think that one of the things, as I'm talking through this, and again, we didn't rehearse this, I have no idea sometimes what we're talking about when we get on these podcasts. So you're getting my natural organic thoughts, which is great. But one of the things that I'm realizing as I'm talking through this is going to be a really good rebounding team. Day'Ron Sharpe is a ferocious rebounder. Walker Kessler is a strong rebounder. Caleb Love is one of the best rebounding guards in the nation. R.J. Davis, even though undersized, will stick his nose in there. Puff will get a rebound every once in a while. And now talking about Kerwin Walton and using his toughness and his 6'5", 210-pound body, that guy's going to grab some rebounds too. So I think overall, this is going to be a very strong rebounding team for the University of North Carolina.
And they have close to 30 double-doubles coming back, around 30 double-doubles coming back with Armando Bacot and Garrison Brooks. I'm going to throw a few more questions at you, which, again, not rehearsed, but this is collectively the group. What kind of group can people expect this to be from a scoring perspective in their first year?
I think a good one. I think that, skilled wings, in my opinion, tend to translate quicker to North Carolina's offense more than wings that their game is predicated on athleticism. Like guys like J.P. Tokido, Nasir Little kind of took a little longer than guys like Justin Jackson and Cam Johnson. So the fact that we have a really skilled wing coming in Puff Johnson and a really skilled shooter in Kerwin Walton, and a really skilled big man in Walker Kessler, I think that there'll be people that can make an impact really, really quickly, and they'll be able to score. And I think as long as you have that dynamic playmaker that can break down the defense and that's effective, it opens up those shots for those guys to hit. So I think Caleb Love is going to be – he could be the most important piece. How quickly he gets the offense, how effectively he runs the offense, and how he crashes the seams and gets shots for those guys.
Well, I was going to ask you the same question about rebounding, but you already answered that ahead of time. So I'm going to go to the defensive side of the ball. As a group, what can they provide defensively going next year? Will they make a positive impact for this team?
I don't think that I would describe any of them as elite defenders, like a Jackie Manuel or something like that. I think Caleb Love is a very good defender. I think Sharpe, because sometimes you count defensive rebounding in with defense. So I think he'll be solid. He's also very physically sound, and Walker Kessler is a true 7-footer that's agile and can move his feet. I think they'll be a good defensive team. I would hesitate to call them great.
How about the collective motor of this group?
I like it. I like it a lot. RJ Davis plays with a chip on his shoulder. Sharpe always plays hard, and he's got grown man strength. Walker Kessler is very competitive. I haven't seen as much of that out of Puff, but I've only seen him probably 4 or 5 times. And Kerwin Walton is the guy who wants to be pushed. One of the things when he talked to me on the phone was he wanted someone to develop him and push him. So I think he's going to buy in, and that they need to have a motor and they need to play defense and need to rebound to get on that floor at Carolina. So I think they'll show it.
Outstanding job covering this class, their recruitment. I know the last week was a grind, and there's maybe very fascinating what happened behind the scenes with the last few days with Kerwin Walton. But I'm glad the class of 2020 is behind us. We're moving on to the class of 2021. We got some big stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks that Clint's working on for the class of 21, and there's some big-time players in there, and certainly Roy Williams is going after a lot of them.
Yeah, I'm excited to introduce some new names to you guys. It's one of my favorite things to do. We'll probably even dip into some younger classes to introduce you guys to some new prep stars. But then, the 2021 features that we're going to do, I think you guys will really like.
Absolutely. For Clint Jackson, this is Andrew Jones. You've been watching another UNC basketball recruiting podcast, putting a bow on the class of 2020. If you like this video, go ahead and click like, subscribe to our channel so you get notifications whenever we upload stuff. Hit that notification bell. You get those notifications as well. And come check us out at TarHeelIllustrated.com. We've got a ton of stuff about UNC football, UNC basketball, and recruiting. Thanks for stopping by.